Auditing is a mechanism to prove compliance with policies over time. Proving compliance with policies requires the ability to audit every action performed upon a collection and track the changes to the state information. The intent is to track every change back to the controlling action. This includes tracking changes to the system when new technologies are added, data movement between systems, changes to persistent state information, changes to access controls, accesses by users, compliance of each access to the control policies. There are event-based metadata standards such as PREMIS, the Preservation Metadata Implementation Strategies. PREMIS characterizes each action applied to a preservation environment as an event. The events can be stored in an external indexing system, which can then be queried to generate summarized information across actions. If every state change can be correlated to a driving event, then a complete audit of a system is possible. The steps include mapping each action to a set of policy enforcement points, mapping each policy enforcement point to the enforced rules, mapping the rules to the operations that are invoked, mapping the operations to the changes they make in state information. It is then possible to correlate changes to persistent state information to explicit actions. The data grid administrator can then verify whether the rules were uniformly applied. Are there persistent state changes that overlap between rules? Are there inconsistent persistent state changes where rules compete with each other? One use of provability is to analyze the consistency of the policies that control actions. Even if the rules work perfectly, the system still has to manage failures. Any hardware system may fail or lose power, leading to incomplete execution of a rule. The network may have an outage prohibiting interaction between two servers. Software systems may fail under load, also leading to incomplete execution of a rule. The harder problems to track are caused by operator error, typically caused by running an obsolete procedure, or by user error, incorrect entry of parameters into a client. Audit trails cannot always capture these types of errors. The system can internally check system state information independently of the audit trails through verification processes. The verification is done at a specific point in time. If the state information is consistent, then an assertion can be made that the system is currently working correctly. A failure may occur in the future, requiring another set of verification processes to be run. Typical state information attributes that are checked for correctness include number of replicas, file integrity, checksums, presence of required metadata, access controls. The frequency of verification checks is determined by the data grid administrator. A good rule of thumb is that verification needs to be done when hardware errors and operator errors occur. Two auditing systems have been implemented in the IROD's data grid. The initial version is shown in Chapter 6.11 of the Policy Examples Workbook. Each policy enforcement point rule is modified to insert auditing operations. This is a very heavyweight implementation requiring the modification of all policies. The audit rule traps an action, generates an event, and sends the event over a message bus to an external indexing system. The external indexing system can be queried to retrieve information independently of the data grid. The new version of the auditing system is available in IROD's version 4.2. This uses a meta rule to impose an auditing policy at every policy enforcement point without having to modify any of the existing rules. The data grid administrator still has to decide which events should be trapped by the auditing system. The ability to audit all actions is one of the essential capabilities needed for managing protected data. Take 7 minutes and answer exercise number 37. Pick a type of event to audit that would prove the data management system is working. See Chapter 6.11 of the Policy Example Workbook. How would you correlate the audit events with the rule controlling the user action? Please load your paragraph into the Lifetime Library in the sub-collection class INLS 624 by the end of today's class.